Desde abajo se defiende a todo mundo. Radio Jornalera, donde tu voz encuentra un eco amplificado, donde tus derechos salen a la luz y disipan el miedo, donde tus aportes a la sociedad se evidencian, donde se reconoce que tus luchas reivindican derechos para todas y todos. Radio Jornalera destaca a la gente humilde que pelea por sus derechos a pesar de sus circunstancias de despojo y marginación. Eleva a los individuos y sus luchas y muestra cómo la clase trabajadora y humilde puede ser agente de cambio cuando se organiza, cuando se defiende y cuando tiene una lectura correcta de su propia realidad. Radio Jornalera provee el espacio para aprender de los invitados e invitadas sobre sus vidas, lo que les motiva a seguir adelante, sus virtudes y desafíos y hasta su música y poesía favorita. Radio Jornalera recalca el trabajo de activistas, organizadores, educadores y algunas celebridades, sus causas, sus campañas, sus estrategias, sus tácticas y los reveses más duros en el perenne quehacer de formar líderes para hacer el mundo más justo, más humano, más inclusivo. Para cambiar el mundo, primero hay que conocer a las personas que sobreviven las injusticias y políticas públicas groseras. Hay que apoyar y solidarizarse con sus luchas, porque desde abajo se defiende a todo mundo. Radio Jornalera, donde los anhelos y el sentir del pueblo trabajador cobran vida.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for connecting to this Facebook Live in reaction of what's happening with the veto of these two bills from Governor Murphy. We want to see if you guys can please start sharing this. I know it's a Facebook Live, but please sharing with your contacts. It's going to be in Radio Jornalera and Radio Cosecha, Radio Cata as well, and all others organizations that are as statewide organizations that are going to be part of this Facebook Live. So I'm gonna really give a quick explanation of what happened today. Everyone in New Jersey, wake up and find out that Governor Murphy just signed one bill out of the three bills that he was supposed to be signed. He was able to sign the Safe Communities Act into law, which is a victory, is parts of a victory from other or the groups that has been fighting for this for years. But he refused to sign the, I will say, the most important ones in these three package bills. Nationwide, would it be the bills that will protect the most and nationwide? And those there's two bills that he refused to sign is the Privacy Protection Act and the trust bit that will strengthen the trust between law enforcement and immigrants communities act. I think we are in many different ways surprised by this. Governor Murphy has a legacy of being very pro-immigrant, but at this moment, his legacy at the end of this part, 2 days, he is failing the immigrants communities, especially in these moments when democracy is in danger in our country, when ICE has been kidnapping left and right our communities in New Jersey, where a detention center was open, Delaney Hall was open without any permits, where a mayor was arrested by ICE, where communities are facing adoptions every single day, and when ICE has brutalizing their strategies. We wanted to thank every single person that has been part of this quick Facebook Live, and I wanted to pass it to Amanda, an organizer from New Labor, to explain really quick what's going on with this bills. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda from New Labor. I'm a community organizer and also a rapid responder in the Middlesex County area. We knew that Governor Murphy had until today to sign all 3 bills that are part of the Immigrant Protections Package. As Jorge said, we only got one of those done, which was the Safe Communities Act, which basically says that there are sensitive locations where ICE will not be permitted to go to, like schools and hospitals, places of worship, and places where, you know, there's essential services, which is a very big win. And I think we do need to highlight that we won this. This wasn't something that was gifted to us by politicians. This wasn't something that was gifted to us from the, you know, kindness of the heart of Governor Murphy. This is something we fought for, we organized for, we stayed up late for. I know the phone banking I was in, we made well over 500 phone calls. And I know everybody on this call was in different phone banking spaces, email writings, op-eds, staying at the State House, 12-hour days. We did this. We built a coalition of folks. We were in this movement and we did win a part of the package. And again, we want to say thank you to everyone who's been a part of this so far. Y la lucha sigue, right? And it continues. The work continues, right? Because also we did not get the Privacy Protections Act, which was a huge piece that we really wanted. We don't want agencies collecting immigration status for no reason. We don't want them sharing information about it. And a big point that I appreciated about this bill that we didn't win is the automatic license plate readers. We don't want ICE using that. It's been a way that they've been stopping cars. They've been racially profiling folks. They've been breaking people's windows and ripping folks out of their cars and kidnapping them, and we don't hear from them again. And I think it's a real slap in the face to the fact that we got the driver's licenses for all campaign off the ground and told undocumented folks that they could go out and safely get a driver's license. Democrats stood there and they took it as a win and they signed and they said everybody would be safe with their driver's licenses and it'd be great for all New Jerseyans. And now they're allowing ICE to use the license plates to track folks and to kidnap folks. And I think that was something that we definitely should have won in this package. It only makes sense and it would protect all of our communities. The other piece was the codification of the Immigrant Trust Directive, or like Jorge said, the trust between law enforcement and local communities. We have it as a directive that says that local law enforcement and their resources should not be used for ICE actions. They should be kept completely separate. That is because we don't want folks to be afraid to contact their local law enforcement if they need them for something. And now it is simply a directive, which is mostly a suggestion and can be taken away at any moment by the Attorney General. This is why we want it codified as law, and we wanted some accountability there. And so it's really disheartening to see that Governor Murphy and the state of New Jersey did not stand in solidarity with us and instead left us without essential protections, as we've seen ICE ramping up across the country, but in New Jersey as well. I went on 3 rapid response calls this morning just for New Brunswick. 3 just in New Brunswick. And I know other folks on here have heard it from across the state today. So to leave us with nothing is a slap in the face. But I do want to highlight the fact that we have power together in this coalition. This coalition of people is only getting stronger. And as long as we continue in solidarity, continue organizing and pushing, we will win this. Because when the government fails us, the people will save the people. And I think that's what we have to highlight, the people power that we have here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda. And thank you for mentioning this part. I'm going to pass it to the Executive Director of the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, Amy Torres. Almost 9.5 million New Jerseyans is going to be without protection. And what does this mean for the Alliance? Amy, what is your taking off after finding out that Governor Murphy just signed 1 bill and vetoed 2 bills?
Yeah, so I think it's important for the community to remember that nothing has changed. What was law 2 days ago, what was law last night, what was law in 8 a.m. this morning is still exactly the same. The Immigrant Trust Directive does still exist, and it will exist unless Governor Sherrill does something to rescind it or change it, which she hasn't indicated that she would do. But what we did lose were these proposals to expand and make those protections permanent. We know that other governor candidates in the past have said that they want to rescind the Immigrant Trust Directive on their first day in office. That hasn't happened under Governor Sherrill during her campaign, but that doesn't mean that these protections go far enough. We need protections in sensitive locations like the ones that were signed into law by Governor Murphy. But as Amanda said, there's a lot more that needs to get done, especially on the privacy side, and especially to make sure that we're ensuring due process when people interact with local and state law enforcement. I woke up pretty bitter today. I received the news in a fairly bitter way this morning, as I think many others did. But I also think there's a few things that we need to recognize. This has been a 5-year fight. When the Alliance introduced these initial protections back in 2021, they came after New Jersey had already placed bans on immigrant detention contracts. And we know that that continues to be an ongoing fight as well, something that has been litigated in the courts. We have places like Delaney Hall and Elizabeth Detention Center that remain open, but we haven't thrown up our hands on those fights. And with these bills, I think in Governor Murphy's comments, he provided the specific language and the recommendation that needs to be changed in order for the Privacy Protections Bill to act. That needs to be the very first piece of legislation that this legislature passes and that Governor Sherrill signs into law. The Privacy Protections Act must be the very first bill on her desk, and she must sign it. And second has to be a codified version of the Immigrant Trust Directive. There's no world in which you can look at the news today and feel that federal officers aren't going to come after you next. They just rammed a door in St. Paul and dragged out a U.S. citizen in freezing cold temperatures. If you think that ICE is still about immigration enforcement, I beg you to wake up and look around. This is not about immigrants. This is about authoritarian control. This is about using a special police force that is at the whim of the president to suppress every single one of your rights, whether you're a citizen or not. It's really time that we make sure that not a single one of our resources, whether that's a single penny of taxpayer dollars or a single data byte of information, none of that should be going toward this rogue agency. But just because governors change doesn't mean that our fight changes. This is still an active campaign. This is still something ongoing. And I think that there are tremendous strides that we've made in coalition. A year ago today, even on Inauguration Day, a lot of political leaders were afraid to say the word immigration. They knew that unlike in 2016, that this time around, President Trump had won the popular vote and the Electoral College. And they thought that there was a mandate about abandoning immigrants and no longer talking about this as an issue. Within 72 hours, New Jersey showed the rest of the nation the way. Many of us responded on the ground to the very first workplace raid of the Trump administration in Newark, New Jersey. Secretary Noem had not even been appointed at that point. And I think that really proved to the nation that our values are still here, and there's many New Jerseyans who are still willing to live by them. It's pretty incredible to me that within a year's time, we went from this being a issue that no one can touch to making Governor Murphy so fearful of retribution and outrage from his constituents that he only decided to veto it the morning that his successor was being sworn into office, hoping that he could avoid some of the media blowback and return to the public as a private citizen and not as a governor who's accountable to the people. There's a lot of huge wins that we've made. Whether they're concrete is a different thing. But I think we've proven time and again that this is a movement too powerful to ignore.
And going back to, thank you, Amy, going back to what Amanda was saying from New Labor, this is something that the communities has been struggling for years. And there is a side of the moral part of it. I want to see if Charlene Walker from Fayette, New Jersey can talk about what are the Fayette leaders thinking about this? What are their reactions? How do you personally see this? and we're gonna close with Asma and Carlos to share what's going on the streets and how people are feeling this when you guys are being doing the ICE responses, the direct responses to ICE raids in the street. So I want to just pass it to Charlene quick about if you can just share what's going on with the moral part. Go ahead, Charlene, take it over.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Charlene Walker, the Executive Director of Faith in New Jersey, which is a statewide power building vehicle for people of faith across the country, across the New Jersey, and part of an organization, Faith in Action, which is across the country and globe. First, I want to ground this in the fact that what we know, right, is that we are all interconnected. There is no separation between you and me, immigrant versus citizen, newcomer. There isn't. And what happens to one will impact us all. That is the first thing that we must understand. The only reason why we got into this place is because we are a country that is founded on racism, displacement, imperialism, genocide. That is what we stand for. There are so many people right now in this moment that are saying this is not who we are. This is who we are. This is who we have always been. And as people of faith, sadly, during this authoritarian regime, it is oftentimes faith that is upholding it. There is a narrative of faith that has been captured that says that this is what is right, that there is this law and order regime of something, but what we really are called to do as people of faith is to actually love each other, to love our neighbor as ourselves. And in my faith tradition, I believe that we are actually judged by how we treat the least of these. These bills are, yes, about immigrant protections, but they're actually about protections for each and every one of us. The reality is that if our information is being shared, it means everybody's information is being shared with a rogue police force that is nothing but modern day slave catchers. They are not Nazis. They are not Gestapo. They are exactly what New Jersey and this country has always made it to be. As people of faith, we are called to stand in the gap in this moment. We are called to walk with our neighbors, to protect our neighbors, to show the world what it means to be prophetic and what it means to actually be prophets of the resistance instead of chaplains to the empire that uphold this logic, that uphold the fact that we must harm each other and step on each other in order to do better and to debunk the lies in this moment. People of faith in this moment are called, especially faith leaders, to not just speak, but to not to pray that does not involve action. Prayer should be taking us to a point where we are putting our bodies on the line for our neighbors and we are living out our gospels. We are living out our actual religious texts. And that includes protecting our neighbors and protecting all of us. We should be making sure that we are holding spaces for our people, which we have been doing across New Jersey, making sure that people are getting emergency plans together, that people in communities understand what it means to show up for each other, that we are creating neighbor havens in order to keep each other safe and teach people how to implement using their Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. We, as people of faith, are the ones who need to understand and need to be prophetic in this moment, because if one of God's children is hurt, all of God's children are hurt.
Thank you, Charlene. Asma, and then Carlos is gonna do a super powerful closing. But Asma, if you want to,
the other way around.
Oh, the other way around. So Carlos
Yeah.
is going to share really quick what's going on and how is this going to affect the rapid responders and how this is going to affect our community as well. Go ahead, Carlos. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jorge, and thank you everyone that's on this Facebook Live. It's very important for community and people, supporters and allies to understand what's going on the ground, right? On the ground, communities are experiencing intensification. The increase of ICE enforcement has gone up. ICE is carrying our arrests they're often ignoring constitutional rights, right? They're violating the rights of people. They even like arresting US citizens, people with green cards. They're indiscriminately going to neighborhoods, and just because you look a certain way or you sound a certain way, like I am a good candidate to be picked up on any streets that I may be walking on, right? So ICE is really doing warrantless arrests and these are happenings in our homes, parking lots, workplaces, and it's just crazy what's going on the ground, So I also want to emphasize that although the increase of ICE arrests has gone up, also the resistance, the organizing that's happening on the ground. Communities are not frozen. People are sharing information, activating rapid response networks, accompanying one another to court, organizing workplace defense, and building mutual aid to support families affected by detention, right? And also faith leaders, as you just heard our sister Charlene, faith leaders are opening doors, labor groups are stepping up protections, and grassroots organizers are filing gaps the state refused to close. And also remembering that the reality on the ground is both repression and resistance. ICE may be escalating arrests and violating rights, but immigrant communities are asserting agency under duress, under pressure, protecting one another and continuing to organize. That is why codified protections matter, and why community power, not political promises, remains the strongest line of defense. We got to continue organize, and continue building this network of rapid responders and mutual aid. And the false promises of politicians, we always get that. We always know that. We were not surprised, but we were disappointed nevertheless about what happened. And yeah, let's continue on organizing. That's what's happening on the ground, Jorge.
Thank you, Carlos. And Asma, please close us with the message of unity, and also what is that we should look forward. We have a new governor coming in today. What is that we should look forward, and how is the things going to be now that we find out that we have 2 veto bills from Governor Murphy? You are mute.
Unmute here. Okay. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm usually very hopeful. As organizers, we tend to be, but I also wake up, as my colleagues on this call today, very disappointed. The choice that the governor has made has real consequences for the people who live in our communities and who believe they would be protected, especially now because there is an uptake in ICE in our communities, abducting our community members. So this isn't just a simple decision. For us, it's really a defining moment in his term as governor that will be remembered by the people of New Jersey. So I want to start off there. Also, even though he signed into law the Safe Communities Act, I just want to remind people that, yes, okay, great. We want to protect people in those safe places, like places of worship and hospitals and schools, etc. But he took away privacy protections. And let's remember, that just means, okay, ICE can't go to those places, which the AG has to create policies for, which none of us know what that will look like, by the way. But the fact that data privacy could still be, like, our private information can still be shared in those locations, right? So it's pretty scary still for many people. And then, as we saw, we all know that, or at least many people know, that I was arrested by police officers with the current directive in place because there is no clear guidelines for the police department on what collaboration is and isn't. And here we have in Trenton, police officers who are literally assisting ICE, creating a safe place so they can continue to lie to a family to get out of their house so that they can detain someone, right? So these are real protections that were needed, that were abandoned, and this governor will be remembered for that. And so I want to just share, yes, on the ground, you heard a little bit of what's going on with Resistencia. Just today, 9 people were abducted. People are living in fear. They are terrified. I talked to a crossing guard, and she said she has half the students that she was helping cross the street are now walking. So they're no longer walking to school, right? And I also want to remind people that despite all this negative news, as Carlos has lifted up, we need each other. And what we know is rapid response works, mutual aid works. I know that now ICE is leaving when we show up with our vests coming out, right? And we also need to think of creative ways for the impacted community who maybe can't face ICE, but can find creative ways to inform the community that ICE is present, like in Minnesota, they have their key fobs, and whenever they see ICE agents, they're pressing their key fobs so that their cars go off in an alarm and it lets people know that ICE is in the community. So we got to think of like those creative things to support each other. So look, at the end of the day, we should not be counting or relying on any particular party, whether it's the Democrats or the Republicans. We know in Congress right now, they're negotiating a massive bill to fund government departments, and many of the Democrats are just complicit. They are trying to fund ICE right now as we speak, and they have the power to defund ICE, and they're choosing not to, right? Including Senator Booker, who just wants to compromise and possibly keep the funding as long as there's like small changes, like, oh, give them body cams, give them training, as if the video in Minneapolis where Renee was killed was not videotaped. People videotaped it. We don't want more videotape. We don't want ICE agents. We don't want the militarization of police or ICE. We don't need that in our communities. We need each other. So I want to remind people, despite this negative news, positive news is happening. When we come together and we show up together, we can protect each other and be there for each other. So yes, we're going to continue to push politicians to ensure the government protects people should. So we'll be there in Congress, in policy rooms, but we're also going to be there on the streets and with our community members. And we have to remember the power lies with the people, not the people in power.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for being here. Please share. We did this live in Spanish as well. Hicimos uno en español. So please just share this live. This is in English. We have a rapid response also map. Let's keep working together. This is the time where we need to be more, we have to stop being naive, and we have to be more creative in how we're going to make and take this struggle to the next level. Because it's not enough, like Charlene was saying, it's not enough to just talk. It is important to do action. And I think this is the first step from the Eyes Out of New Jersey campaign. We're sending a lot of love, and thanks everyone for being here. And we have to keep fighting. That's all we have. Thank you for everyone.
Audio Jungle.